Hi, good afternoon. Today is October 8th, 2025, and it's 3:50 p.m. U.S. Central Time. My name is Rinaldo J. Aguiar Marcano, and I'm recording this video from my home located at 26714 Valleyside Drive, Katy, Texas, 77494. So today, this afternoon, right, this is the fourth video I create today. And sorry about that. Like I usually try to bundle things together, but these are like small items that that haven't really fit in any of the other demos recently, and they keep accumulating, right? And also because I'm and I don't know, right? I might be wrong about this, but this thing I'm going to say, but yeah, if you ask me, right, I'm getting a sense of. I don't know if it's a sense, the right word. It's like an intuition, right? Sorry, one second. Yes, it's like an intuition of, I would say, perhaps finality. I think is the word, right? Like I'm getting a sense that all this is coming to a head, and it's not a sustainable situation anymore. Which could mean many things, right? Could mean that they may attempt, in a definitive manner against my life. Like it could mean that, right? Or it could mean, I see different paths in how this could unravel, right? Sorry, I need to connect something. Give me just 1 second, okay? Because otherwise it's going to disconnect. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. So I was saying, I'm getting a sense, right, that things might be coming to a head. And sorry, give me just 1 more second, just 1 second. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So I was saying, I'm getting a sense of finality in a way, right? Like this is not sustainable for them anymore. So it could mean many different things, right? It could mean that they may attempt to do something against my life. It could mean that they may back off, right? It could mean different things, right? But regardless of what it means, the reason why I'm making this fourth session today is because, if something was to happen soon, I want to make sure that the important things are recorded, and there's a record, and I don't miss anything important. So in this brief section or segment, I'm going to talk about something they did recently. Okay, what is the best frame to frame this? So I think I'll start by telling you the objective. What is it they accomplished with this, and then how they do it, and how they did it before. Like this is the second time they do it in less than a year. So the objective here, the end goal, is to bring down the website spyhealth.org in a way that justifies deleting the data of the website. What they want to do is delete the data that is stored in BigQuery and in different places, right? Like all the data derived from the GeoIndex. That's their end goal. I have, of course, copies, and I back up this like in 10 different. Like it doesn't matter if they bring it down, I can bring it up in an hour. But that's what they're trying to do, right? And that's the same thing that they tried to do last year. So the way they're trying to do it is attacking the single point of failure. Okay, the single point of failure of the setup of that website is the billing aspect of it, because that website has to pay in the infrastructure I'm using to keep it running. Right, I have to pay Google for the services that I'm using, Google Cloud. I'm using Google Cloud to power that website. So the play is cause a billing anomaly, right? Like I didn't pay the bill, right? And then because they have people inside of Google and inside of Google Cloud, specifically within the billing team, what they're going to do, they're going to trigger a quick action unreasonably quick. Like, if you don't pay the bill, Google usually would give you time, right? They will give you days to settle it. And even if you don't pay it, what they would do, they would suspend the account, but they wouldn't delete the data immediately, right? I think they would delete the data normally, like in 60 days after the account is suspended, if you don't pay, right? To free the resources, right? But I imagine what they're planning is that if the account is late by 1 day, they will immediately suspend it and immediately delete everything, right? As if it was a mistake in the pipeline of suspension. But oops, everything got deleted, right? And then at that point, it's reversible, right? From that point of view. So I think that's the play, right? So now I'm going to tell you what they did this time, because they did this before. So this time, I want to recount what they did before, and I'm going to also post the documentation of before. But so this time, what they're doing is the following, right? I'm paying for Google Cloud using my personal credit cards, right? Which are Chase credit cards. I have 2 of them. One, and I'm giving all this personal information just so authorities can investigate when they see this video eventually, right? So one is a Chase credit card, branded as Explorer, I think it's called. And the other one is a United branded credit card. And United is a network, their network, prominence market, right? Like United Airlines, United Healthcare, all these things United are important companies in their network, right? So I know that credit card is a compromise, right? It's at least more compromised than the other, right? Because it's tied to United Airlines. It's a loyalty program of United Airlines through Chase credit card. So, right. So what they're doing is the following, right? So I'm paying for the service for the credit card, but like this is just for practicality, right? Because it's not like I'm using credit. I'm not running this on credit. Like I have the money to pay for the services for a long time, right? But what I do, I pay with a credit card, and then I immediately pay the credit card, right? And these credit cards have always been in good standing forever. Like I've had them since 2010 or 11, right? I can't recall exactly, but 14 years or something like that. Never had an issue. I never had a credit card suspended. I haven't checked my credit score in a long time because I'm not employed by anyone. Nobody's paying me a salary. My houses are paid. I don't need to get a mortgage. My vehicles are paid for. Like I don't need to apply for credit, right? So I haven't looked in a while, but to give an idea, right? Like the last time I checked, it was maybe 3 years ago, and my credit score, I think it was at the time. Don't quote me on this, right? I might be wrong on the actual number, but it was something like 841. It was very high, right? Like it was on the top 5%. I'm saying this to explain that I have a good standing credit history and I never had any kind of problem with any creditor, right? And during this conflict, right? Because they are doing all this intersecting, I'm very careful when I connect to the bank to pay for the credit card. So it's possible that in the last, 6 months, when things have escalated, I may have been late in a payment for a week, right? 2 weeks, but it has never gotten to a point where my account has been delinquent or there's been a collection notice on my account, nothing like that, right? I might have been late for a week or something, and I have auto payments. So I don't think that even would be the case. Well, I'm saying all this because I've noticed that what they're doing is that they're gradually reducing the credit limit of the credit cards. So at this point, I have one functioning credit card only because the other one, there was an incident with it last year, which is the other incident that they did to try to kill the website, right? So the first time they did something like this, I didn't cancel the credit card, but I stopped using it, right? I'll explain why in a second. But that credit card, I have it, but I'm not using it, right? So that credit card has a balance of 0 and it's unused. And the one that I'm using day to day is the other one, which is the United credit card, which is the most compromised of the two, right? Because it has the United market in the name. So and so the first credit card, last time I checked, maybe a year ago, right? The one that I'm not using had a credit limit of something like $45,000. So I could go with a credit card and buy a car, right? To that level of credit, right? I had in that credit card. And that's because I've always been a good customer. I always paid my credit card on time, right? It has never had a high ratio of debt to limit. And I've done a lot of transactions with a credit card because I'm paying for things for the website, for the security cameras, all these expenses. I pay them with the credit card, and then I immediately pay the credit card, and that causes a lot of transactions, and they have increased my limit over the years, right? So the one that I'm not using had a limit of something like 45K, if I recall correctly, and the United one had a limit of about 16K. So both combined, I had an effective credit limit of something like, say, $60,000, right, on credit cards that I could, and the balance of the two was always, very low. If it could have been a bit high during a particular period of time if I had bought something expensive, like if I had to buy servers, right, and spend $15,000 on servers, then the $15,000 would be there, but would be there for days, right, until I pay the credit card. It was never like I was financing the servers with the credit card. It was just a convenience thing to be able to pay online with the credit card. Anyhow, so what I've noticed is that they've been gradually reducing the credit limit of the United credit card. Well, both of them, right? But the most concerning is the United credit card, because that's the one that is currently used to pay for the Google Cloud services. And this is crucial. They have reduced it to a point that the credit limit on that credit card today is $6,000, when it was like $16,000 just months ago, right? And they sent me a letter through Chase saying that with vague language, right? They didn't say anything specific, but they said, because of delinquency on your credit card, it's been reduced, and to make it official, right? Like to make it so it doesn't look like it's a manipulation. But I think the play is because my Google Cloud bill, when I sum all the expenses that I have per month, is something like almost $7,000, right? So what this means is that if I'm not careful, and I think these payments, because I have different Google Cloud accounts with different services, right, for security reasons. So I have to be careful, right, that when the first charge comes in, I have to immediately pay it now, because otherwise the second charge is going to be rejected because it's going to be over the 6,000 limits. And that might give them the opening to say that the account is delinquent, suspend the account, and immediately close it and delete the data, right, which is their ultimate goal. I mean, it's just too coincidental that the reduction of the limit resulted in a limit that, conveniently for them is below the total expenses of the website per month, right? And the other credit card I have, which I'm not using because they did another rules last year. Let me tell you the rules last year so you see. So what they did is the following, right? So these charges come automatically through the credit card, right? And the PayPal mafia is really a monopoly on the control of online payments and credit card payments in general, right? Like this is an undeclared monopoly. The world has mechanisms to prevent monopolies because precisely they allow people to accumulate power in a way that hurts the public, right? Like this. Like this is an example. But because they have this geo-index going on, what they do is that they create multiple companies that appear disparate, but they're all controlled by Xi Jinping, right, and China. So that all those companies are really, a monopoly, an undeclared monopoly. So what they did last year, and this is relevant because of the rules, like the technical implementation of these rules that I'm going to describe implies a super deep control on the online payment systems. So this is what they did, right? So the charge comes in from Google Cloud. It was, I don't know, I can't recall. It was one of the 2 or 3 charges that record every month, right? So that was like 3. If I recall correctly, I think it was like $3,200 the charge, something like that. But when the charge come in, instead of labeling the charge as Google Cloud, they labeled it as something like, don't recall the name, but it was like 3 letters, XVF or something like that, right? And a bunch of numbers, something that looked weird, right? So when I see the charge, I immediately contest the charge. I file a ticket with Chase saying I don't recognize this charge, right? They reverse the charge, but the charge was in reality the Google Cloud bill, but they mislabel it with something that would look suspicious to me. So I would report the charge, causing the Google invoice to not be paid, right? They almost got the account closed that way. So imagine, they tricked me into myself causing the non-payment status, right? By reversing the transaction, because they labeled it in a way that would trick me into doing that. I fell for that, right? But I realized because of the amount, thankfully, right? Like the next day, I realized that the amount matched the Google Cloud amount. And I logged in and I paid again. And so it didn't get suspended, right? But the credit card got suspended because when I called, the person that answered the phone was very skilled. Like it was a woman. She said, "Oh, you have the," I complained about the charge. It was a sequence, right? So I tried to do it online. When I did it online, it said, "No, you have to call us," which is strange. I have reverse transactions that, probably they have done in my credit cards with some authorization, and I can do this online. But this time I couldn't do it online. I had to call. When I called, a woman picks up the phone, and she very quickly, "Oh yes, yeah, I can reverse this for you," and she reversed it, right? And then she said, "Well, since this transaction is suspicious, I'm going to cancel your credit card, and a new credit card will be mailed to you. Thank you so much for your time. Bye." And she hung the phone. Like, she didn't even let me tell her to not cancel the credit card. She hung up, and this, imagine there must be a recording of this conversation in Chase, right? So she made sure that my credit card was canceled, right? To make it more likely that I would miss the other payments in Chase, right? Sorry, in Google Cloud. So that's what they did last year. And after that time, I haven't used that credit card for anything. I have it. I have the plastic, but I'm not using it, right? Why? Well, because I know that I need to have a backup, right? So I'm using one, and if they kill it with something like this, I will switch to the other, right? I need to have that plastic available to me, and I can't be carrying that plastic outside because they could steal my wallet, and then they would leave me with 0 credit cards, right? Therefore, choking the websites. So, yes. So, she canceled the credit card, and the new credit card came in, and I saved it, right? And I have it in a secure place, and it's not going anywhere. Well, that other credit card that initially had a credit limit of like $45,000, I checked the credit limit in the last few days, and it's $10,000 now. So they reduced $35,000 of credit limit of one credit card, and on the other, they reduced $10,000, right? So they dropped my credit limit on the 2 credit cards from $60,000 to $16,000 in a matter of 3 months, right? It's a way to try to get me into a situation of non-payment with Google Cloud. So they have the excuse to delete the data, right? Which is it's naive, right? Like, as I said the other day, I have sent so many reports to the DEA, the IRS. Like, I imagine the FBI must have a copy of the full database at this point. They probably have their own pipeline running on that thing, right? It's naive to think that that's the solution to their problem. It's naive. I mean, I cannot understand how people so sophisticated in intelligence departments of multiple countries can't see that at this point, the FBI must have a pipeline running on this data. Like, you are focusing your attention on the wrong person and in the wrong data. You need to be trying to delete the data of the FBI, not of Rinaldo. Rinaldo is not, I mean, yes, I found the data a year ago, but at this point, you need to focus your attention on destroying the data of the FBI, right? You have to fight with somebody of your own size. It's logic, right? You do nothing by deleting the data from my Google Cloud account. Nothing. It will accomplish 0. Nothing. And I'm being totally honest. I'm giving you advice. I think you need to focus on the FBI. So that's the credit card rules, right? They are lowering the credit, or they have already lowered the credit, to a point where they could cause a non-payment situation, right? To then justify deleting the website, right? Because they think that nobody's going to see this. Like, it's going to be a secret, right, that they contain. I don't know. It's hard to understand how. I mean, maybe it's the communist paradox, right? Like, they can't grasp. They're just not qualified to grasp the gravity of their situation. It's the only explanation, because they keep focusing on the wrong thing, right? I mean, what would you gain with deleting the website? There's books, printed books, right, registered with the Library of Congress. Like that will accomplish nothing, right? Anyhow, there's filings, right, in federal court. You know, it's silly, really, to try to delete that website. I don't know if it's silly, but it's a futile effort, I think, right? It's energy not well spent, particularly when energy is at a prime for your team in this situation, right? So anyhow, that's the credit card. That's the credit card situation. So of course, I'm taking countermeasures to make sure that I never fall into this, non-payment situation that they want to force. But because they've done it twice, right? I think, and I said this the first time, it's a technical mistake, tactical mistake, because we all already know that this network, the pillar of this is the 3% racket, right? The 3% fee, and this is in the book, it's everywhere, right? We all know that the network is getting 3% of the money of the world via the credit card transaction fees. Like it's a well-known fact at this point. And messing up my credit cards just proves that your network has full control of these credit card systems and platforms, right? It's just proving what I wrote about a year ago, right? I don't know how to say it. It's like compromising your most critical. I mean, if the majority of your money is coming from this racket, and you're going to create evidence that could allow the U.S. government to seize the assets of the racket, it's a stupid, really, right? It's like asking for it. Anyhow, I hope that the evidence is created and that they succeed, right? Well, I'm going to stop this video for now, and thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.